Hi everyone, welcome to my new channel. This is the first video I'm actually doing on this channel, and I wanted to do it for a little while. Anyone who knows me, I love having conversations, social commentary conversations, political conversations, anything that's going on in the world. I like to have interesting conversations about those particular things, whether it could be world politics, as I said, social issues and so on. So I decided I wanted to do a channel where I could just have conversations and also learn from other people, as well as me speaking be a two-way conversation. Obviously people in the comment section and just listening to different perspectives, because I think that becoming a rounded individual is someone who is open to various other viewpoints and so on. And that's why I believe that as you get older, you get wiser, generally speaking. So it's important that we do have conversations around various topics. So anyway, what spurred me on to have this conversation today, or to start my first video today, is an email that I received today. Okay. And this email was from Zipcar, Zipcar UK specifically. Zipcar is, I think it's an American company, so they are kind of international, but they have a UK branch. And I actually use Zipcar quite a lot. I actually used Zipcar yesterday, Saturday, 2 days ago, for one of their flex cars, which is basically a car which you can sort of pick up, similar to the Santander bikes that are on the streets and the scooters and stuff. You sort of pick them up from somewhere nearby you within a London area. You use an app, you can book the car, and you can open the door, you can drive it, you can park it literally anywhere within the zone. You can literally just drive it from point A and park it at point B and walk off and leave it parked in the new spot. Someone else can use it and then move it to another spot, so on and so forth. So that is the flex version. There are lots of different versions of Zipcar. There are ones where you can hire them like a normal car, where you'd hire it for a specific number of hours or days. You'd return it back to the point that you picked it up from, which is a designated parking zone. So I do use them a lot. I use them also the vans as well, sometimes for work. It helps when my van might be overloaded with tools and I need to get some materials urgently and I need an empty van. I'll hire a Zip van for maybe an hour sometimes. I think there's somewhere in the region of 12 to 14 pounds an hour. So sometimes it's very, very helpful for me as a business owner. So this email was very disappointing for me to receive, because as I said, I do use Zipcar personally and also for my business quite a lot within London. So I received this email today. I'm going to read the email that I've received, and then we're just going to talk about it and what the ramifications of this email. And I'm also going to talk about an email that I received from Zipcar a couple of months ago as well this year, which I do remember sharing with one of my friends on Facebook. So this is the email I received today. Today is the, let me just get the date. It's the 1st of December. Okay, 1st of December. And this email, I received it at 3:03 p.m. Okay, I've only noticed it when I got home after work. Important service announcement. Zipcar proposes to cease its UK operations. I'm writing to let you know that we are proposing to cease the UK operations of Zipcar and have today started formal consultation with our UK employees. So to me, that sounds like they've officially told their staff, look, we are likely to cease trading in the UK. We're giving you the heads up of what is going to happen. Probably redundancies have probably started already, and warning people of the likelihood of them losing their jobs if this goes through. Okay, so a sad day for many of the Zipcar workers. This is never a good thing for people to lose their jobs. This is their livelihood. This is how they support themselves. They support their families. They support their children. And, you know, some people without a job will be homeless, you know. So losing your job, especially at short notice, right before Christmas, it's just a very, very sad thing to hear. And it's going to be a very difficult thing for many people. So it goes on to say, we will temporarily suspend bookings pending the outcome of this consultation. This means it will not be possible to make any new bookings beyond the 31st of December 2025, pending the outcome of the consultation. So it seems like we can use Zipcard now up until the end of this year, so for the next 30 days, but you can't book anything past the 31st because it's possible, depending on the outcome of this consultation that they're having now, that they may not continue trading from the 1st of January. This is what I get from this email. Okay, which would put, again, as I said, people out of a job right in the beginning of the year, which makes for a really crappy Christmas, because if you know you're going to lose your job, you've got to tighten up the purse strings immediately, and it could be a really sucky Christmas for a lot of people, for families and so on. Goes on to say, although we propose to cease operations in the UK, your account will remain open until the final decision is made following the consultation process. This means you're still able to use Zipcars until 31st December 2025. If you would like to see what other car sharing options there are in your area, please visit the National Charity for Shared Transport. And it gives a link to the website. If you have any questions, please visit our help center. And this came from the general manager of Zipcar, James Taylor. Okay. So as I said, this is a sad email for the users of Zipcar that appreciate it and that need it. Many people actually need the service. They don't have their own cars. They might not be able to afford their own cars, but sometimes it really comes in handy. You can actually save money, especially if you're using this Flex version where you can sort of drive it from here and park it here. Many times I've used it, it's actually cheaper than a taxi. Or an Uber or whatever it is, to because generally they charge you by the minute. I think it's somewhere like 30p a minute. So if you imagine you're taking a journey that's 10 minutes, a 10-minute drive, not a 10-minute walk, but a 10-minute drive, which could be a 40-minute walk. You might need to do an emergency drive. You might need to get shopping or carry something really heavy or whatever, pick up your kids. Sometimes it's helpful, and it could cost you as low as £3 for 10 minutes of it, you know. And then there's the businesses who use it. Some businesses don't have their own vans. They can't afford to have a van because maybe they don't do enough drops with the van, but there's occasions where they need to do deliveries and the van comes in helpful for those events, when they may need a van, and they can hire the Zipcar car for the day, for the weekend, for a couple of hours to run their business, and it can help them to as I said, to get along. So it's sad for the users, and then as I said, for those who actually work for Zipcar, it's even worse because they're gonna completely lose their jobs. And it just made me think of it just reminded me of a couple of months ago. I received an email from Zipcar, and it was basically asking me to fill in a form to show support. It's more like a petition, really, against the proposed plans of the Mayor of London, who is Sadiq Khan. Now, his plans were at the time to charge electric vehicles congestion fees. Now, anyone who knows about the Zipcar system, there's a lot of perks that you get from using the system. Not only do you get a car that you can use, or a van, whenever you kind of need it without having to, pay insurances and road tax, and maybe you've got no parking in your area, stuff like that. You also get free fuel up to a certain amount of miles, a fair bit of miles actually. So most trips that you would take within London, you wouldn't have to pay any fuel. You get free charging on their electric vehicles, because they do have electric vehicles as well, because they've obviously been pushed by the government to get electric vehicles, which is the point we're going to come to soon. And also you get free congestion charge paid as well. So essentially Zipcar pay the congestion charge on the vehicles. I don't know if they do it on a daily basis or whether they get some sort of group discount or whatever for all their cars. Obviously, they have lots of cars all around London. So when you get into the car, if you needed to drive in central London, you wouldn't have to pay any congestion charge. Now, the mayor, obviously, they have petrol cars. Sorry, they have petrol cars in Zipcar, and they also have EV cars. Now, the petrol cars or diesel, whatever, obviously they pay congestion charge when they drive into central London, and Zipcars, I said, pay that for you. Now, the Zipcars EV cars were exempt from congestion charge because that was the government's policy. Because obviously they've been pushing people down the route to get electric vehicles, saying that it's for cleaner air, it's better, etc., etc. We can have a conversation about that maybe in another video. So Zipcar obviously invested in electric vehicles, like many companies have invested in electric vehicles. I have a friend of mine who lives within central London zone, or within the congestion charge zone, who they bought an electric vehicle for the same reasons of that. So the congestion charge, they don't have to pay congestion charge because they live in the zone, and is what we've all been told to do. So they have been steadily increasing their number of cars that are electric. I've used a couple of electric cars now, so it seems like quite a few of their cars are now have moved to electric under this whole cleaner air sort of theme. So the consultation that the mayor was having was to start charging the electric vehicles a congestion charge. Now, I find that very interesting for two reasons. One, congestion charge, obviously, as its name as congestion, is part of the policy which was introduced under Mayor Ken Livingstone's term as Mayor of London, was to reduce congestion in central London. And there's many benefits for reducing congestion. One is pollution. Obviously, if you've had lots of cars congested in a small space where you're in traffic, the more you're in traffic is the more fumes, or the longer your car's running, etc., etc. We totally get that. There's also the delay to people moving around if there's traffic, especially like, I don't work in central London for that reason, because you trying to get through central London. Sometimes I've got to work on another part of London. I've got to go through central London. Sometimes the traffic is bad, depending on which parts you go on anyway. And I try to avoid those areas if possible. So there's the actual congestion, and then there's pollution, and there are other aspects to the policy, but those are two of the main the main goals of the policy was to reduce physical congestion as well as emissions. Okay, the ULEZ obviously came later under Sadiq Khan, which was focused more primarily on air, cleaner air, and it started within the congestion charge. So it was sort of like a charge on top of a charge within the same zone. And then obviously later on, he did another consultation and expanded it to the entire London. That's everything within the M25, which to me is actually super crazy. But that's for another video. So basically, we were at the situation where the mayor wanted to start charging the electric vehicles the congestion charge. So to me, I understand the congestion of the electric cars, because obviously as less people start using the petrol cars and move to electric, then those cars that used to drive into London that were petrol are now going to drive in as electric cars. So really and truly, you're not really dealing with congestion if you're sort of doing that. You're sort of swapping one car for another car. Obviously you are dealing with the cleaner air, as in the cleaner immediate air. Okay. So now to deviate now from that portion of the policy and say, well, we're going to actually charge you if you have an electric car, especially when it was drummed down people's brains that they had to change their cars to get electric. I had to change my van on the ULEZ, which cost me thousands of pounds. My van was fine. I had to go get a loan for £12,000 to buy a new van, for a van that had just paid off, which was not that old, So it costs lots of people a lot of money. It costs businesses lots of money, all the changes and so on. So people have done what they've had to do. They've went out and bought electric vehicles. So many people were saying to me, oh, you should get an electric van. What about an electric van? I was like, they're too expensive. And they are expensive. So now imagine getting an electric van, because maybe my business goes into central London and it would save me paying 14, 15 pounds or whatever it is every day, which is now going up to 18 pounds, by the way, next year. I would now still be charged the fee. So what's the point? Which leads me to this point. This policy is going to backfire. And I've seen the conversations on social media, and people are saying things like, well, it's a good thing that I never got rid of my car. Oh, I'm going to go get myself and the next car is going to be a petrol car. People are already talking about the lack of benefits in EV cars already, because any benefit that there has been so far financially, it's slowly being taken away. So the fact that if you've got an electric car, you're going to pay congestion charge as well as someone who's paying congestion charge with a petrol car, then what's the point of buying a more expensive car which is electric and you're still going to pay congestion charge? Granted, there is a small discount, very small discount, but that even has its stipulations. You've got to pay via auto pay and so on, and it's not that much of a discount, maybe 20% or somewhere along those lines. Cheaper is what you'll pay for your congestion charge, but it's still a lot. I think it's at least £9. Then we've obviously got all these other fees like the Blackwall Tunnel, Silverlink Tunnel, all these extra fees that we have to pay to cross over areas that are outside of the congestion zone. So it's just getting more and more more and more expensive to drive in London anyway. And I think that the idea really behind it is to just get rid of cars altogether within London and have it a carless city, which to me is absolutely insane for a big city like London. So I also want to read an article as well, some clips from an article. This is from autocar.co.uk, and it explains this was written on 13th of November this year. This explains the whole move for electric vehicles paying congestion charge, and it's actually had the consultation happened and it's actually gone through. It's going to start in January, and I think this is a big part of why Zipcar are planning to close and not be open in January, because if this fee comes in January, then all of their electric cars, which is a lot of them, I don't know the number, but I know there's a lot, I see their cars everywhere, all of those vehicles will have to start paying congestion charge on a daily basis. You imagine if you have 1,000 cars. Again, I don't know how many cars, but let's just say you have 1,000 cars. You have a company that rents cars and you have 1,000 cars, 1,000 electric cars. And all of a sudden, there's a £10 fee or something every day on every car. Okay, you're talking £10,000 a day straight away off the bat. Okay, that's, if I can do my maths right, 300,000 a month. 3 million, 3.5 million a year. Okay, we're already 3.5 million a year just added to your bill. Now, from my understanding, they were already not doing too great financially, Zipcar. So whereas they may have already been struggling to be, profitable, or their profits may have dipped, etc., to have this new £3 million, for instance, thrown onto your costs, it may make the business non-viable. And to me, the fact that they have to pay it, and they did try to have consultations with the mayor, obviously they didn't come to an agreement that would be able to help them with these costs. So unfortunately, it seems like they are going to cease trading in the UK. So this is what this article says. It says EVs will have to pay London's congestion charge from January. This is 2026. Electric cars will be charged £13.50 and electric vans £9. Cost for ICE vehicles will also increase. EV drivers will have to pay Inner London's congestion charge as part of a push to lower the number of vehicles driving into the capital. Announced on Thursday by London Mayor Sadiq Khan, prices have been set at £13.50 for electric cars and £9 for electric vans. Previously, all EVs, including those powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, were exempt from the charges under the Cleaner Vehicle Discount. So you got a discount because your car was clean, because you obeyed what they told you to do. You were a good boy. You went and bought a clean vehicle. You bought a Tesla. You bought some sort of Hyundai or something like that, or Nissan Leaf or whatever, and you got a discount for that. Okay, you didn't pay the fee, but now you will be. Also, as I said, the existing congestion charge is also going to increase. Okay, so everything is going up. So it says, as part of the changes which will come into force on the 2nd of January 2026, the charge for IC vehicles will increase from 15 to 18. Transport for London confirmed earlier this year. So basically, from the 2nd of January, all these electric vehicles are going to be charged this. So it makes sense for Zipcar to say the 31st is when we're going to have our last bookings. You can't book a vehicle after the 31st, i.e. from the 2nd of January realistically, because for those vehicles to be operating, we have had to decide whether we are going to be paying congestion charge on these electric vehicles or not, or whether we can afford it. So they're not allowing anyone to book anything from basically the date when this new rule comes into force. Now, I think that unless the mayor steps in and gives them some sort of relief, they are going to cease operations, because I think the cost is going to be too high. And knowing what I've seen of people like Sadiq Khan and those who are really on the climate agenda, there really is no compromise with this situation. There's no bending to it. There's no compensation. All these consultations to me are all pointless, because it could be 1 million people turn up to a consultation and disagree. These people are still going to do what it is they're hell-bent to do. Many of them, I believe, they're all funded by certain people, and they've got their own agenda, and it's already set. It's just these formalities of these consultations, just to make you feel like you've had a chance to say your piece. But to be honest, nothing you say is going to matter, so I believe it's just it's already gonna happen, and I think that Zipcar is going to cease trading, and unfortunately lots of people are going to lose their jobs. It also says here, this comes a week after the UK government announced plans for a new pay-per-mile road taxing system for EVs. So this is also a new policy that's coming in to play, where the government have announced that if you have an electric vehicle, we are going to charge you per mile. And I believe it's 3p per mile to drive an electric vehicle within London. So they've already found another way to punish people who have done the right thing according to what the government had told us to do, which was to buy an electric vehicle, and now you're going to be charged 3p per mile. And it reminds me of when the government did this with diesel. I can't remember what government it was at the time, but they told us all to get diesel vehicles. People went out and got diesel vehicles. Then they turned around and said, actually, diesel vehicles are no good. They're actually polluting, and now we're going to charge you the ULEZ for anything that's under 2012. Or 2017, sorry, because diesel are no good. And the government was telling everybody to buy diesels. People started buying diesel vehicles. The manufacturers started manufacturing more diesel vehicles. And the manufacturers are also really up at arms about this, because they have been manufacturing more EV cars, and a lot of the companies have actually had to, by law, increase the number of EV cars they're building. Now you're making EVs less attractive to people to buy. It's not good for those companies that are making the cars, because are they going to sell them? Are people going to really move to these EVs if they're becoming less and less attractive? Personally, I wouldn't buy an EV car, and for various reasons. It just doesn't make any sense to me personally, for many, many reasons. And charging is one of them. Okay. So he says, this move has been criticized by automotive industry bosses as a way of putting off EV ownership at a time when car makers are being legally forced to increase EV sales by the ZEV mandate. Critics of Khan's new EV charges argue the same. AA President Edmund King, for instance, called it a backward step, which sadly will backfire on air quality in London. And it will backfire, because what's going to happen is, as I said, people are going to say, hang on a minute, I was going to buy an EV car because it was free to drive in central London. It's not anymore. Why am I going to spend more money on an EV van? Why am I going to spend more money on an EV car? I might as well just buy a petrol one. So actually now you're going to put people off buying EV cars, and more people are going to go back to petrol. And I think we are going to see an increase of people buying petrols and a decrease in people buying electric vehicles. I do believe this is what we're going to see as the repercussions from this. But as I said, they are not interested, and they wouldn't listen, because if they're not listening to people like the head of AA, all the automotive manufacturers, all these big car sort of people who know about cars and stuff, they're not listening to any of these people. They've decided what they're going to do, and that's it. So it's one of these things where it's just the inevitable and just time. But time will tell. whether or not these policies are good. I think it's a very, very bad policy. The fact that we've already seen job losses under this policy hasn't even become in effect yet. It's really, really saddening. And I think that there's going to be other businesses that are going to have this bill, just like Zipcar as a large company is going to have this huge bill from the 2nd of January, which looks like they're running away from. There's other businesses in London that are automatically going to have their bill increased. Let's say you are a delivery company, you deliver flowers into central London. Let's just say, for instance, you have a small van, you deliver flowers within the central London area. You went and bought an electric vehicle so that you could, be clean and driving around London, delivering your flowers. From the 2nd of January, all of a sudden, you're going to pay £9 for a van, electric van, which you weren't paying before. So put that over, let's say a 5-day week. Let's just give it 5-day week, 25 days for the month. We're talking almost £250 has just added to your monthly bill. Now, being a small business, maybe small flower business or whatever, pet grooming, you pick up dogs and stuff like that and take them for walks, whatever it is, that may be make or break for your business, because small businesses, that just might be too much for them. If you've got multiple vans, then that number adds up and adds up and adds up, and then what happens is the companies that can continue to trade oftentimes just pass the cost on to us. So if you're let's say you're Amazon or your Tesco's and you're driving electric vans around London delivering and central London, all of a sudden you might be able to absorb that cost, but what are they going to do? They're going to take that cost and put it onto the groceries and so on, and these things are going to cost us more money. So any way you look at it, we are going to pay the price for this policy. So I think personally it's absolutely terrible policy, especially after seeing what's happening with Zipcar already. But you guys tell me what you think. I'm sure there's some of you who are just like, this is amazing, this is the best thing. If you do think that this is the right way to go, tell me why. Why do you think this is a good idea? And if you think it's a terrible idea, also tell me a terrible idea. And if you're a business that's going to be affected by this, tell me how you're going to be affected by this. It would really be interesting to hear how people will be affected by this particular policy. So guys, hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is my first video. I'm going to do more videos like this. So if you like this one, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so we can have some conversations like this. All right, guys. So until the next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.